Gather around, history enthusiasts, and let's dive into the tale of Operation Overlord, more theatrically known as D-Day. This was not just any ordinary day. June 6, 1944, was a day that would become etched in history as a turning point in World War II. On this day, the Allies decided to throw a surprise party for the Germans on the beaches of Normandy, France. Spoiler alert, the Germans weren't thrilled. Imagine, if you will, over 350,000 personnel from a whopping 12 countries converging on France's northern coast. This wasn't your average beach holiday. It was the largest amphibious invasion in history. The stage was set by midsummer 1943. Adolf Hitler's Wehrmacht, those party poopers, had conquered a good chunk of Europe and were feeling rather smug about it. But the Allies had other plans. You see, the invasion of Normandy was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. It was the climax of years of meticulous planning and learning from past mistakes, such as the ill-fated Dieppe raid of 1942, where the Allies learned that attacking heavily defended port cities was a terrible idea. Thanks to these learning experiences, the Allies were quite seasoned in naval landings by 1944, having partied across North Africa, Italy, and the Pacific. But let's not forget the Germans, who since 1942 had been fortifying the French coast with what they called the Atlantic Wall. This was no ordinary wall, but a 2,400-mile-long party spoiler of bunkers, mines, and all sorts of nasty surprises. The man behind this was Erwin Rommel, aka the Desert Fox, who despite his cunning was completely duped by the Allies' deception tactics. Rommel and his pals were convinced that the real invasion would occur at Calais, not Normandy. As D-Day approached, the Allies, led by General Dwight Eisenhower, decided to add some drama by initially setting the invasion date for June 5th. But as with all best-laid plans, Mother Nature intervened with some bad weather, leading to a nail-biting 24-hour delay. On June 6th, the first wave wasn't even from the sea, but the air, with thousands of paratroopers landing to secure bridges and roads. The actual beach landings were a spectacle of military might and innovation. The Allies attacked 5 beaches: Utah and Omaha for the Americans, Gold and Juno for the British and Canadians, and Sword for the British and Free French forces. They even brought along special amphibious tanks, although at Omaha, not a single one made it to the beach. Now, picture this. As the invasion unfolded, the German High Command was in disbelief, thinking it was a diversion from a larger attack at Pas-de-Calais. Meanwhile, Hitler was snoozing, and nobody dared wake him up to tell him about the invasion. When he finally did wake up, some of his best reserves couldn't be deployed without his say-so. Talk about a leadership fail. By the end of the day, around 156,000 Allied troops had stormed the beaches, despite fierce resistance and heavy casualties. This invasion marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. By August, the Allies had liberated all of northern France and set their sights on Germany, where they would eventually join forces with the Soviets advancing from the east. In summary, D-Day was a masterclass in military strategy, deception, and sheer determination. It was a day that shifted the tide of World War II, proving that with enough planning, even the most fortified defenses can be breached. And as for Hitler and his Atlantic Wall, well, let's just say the Allies knew how to crash a party.